Hello, it's me again. It's James, the counsellor, back with another I don't know tete-a-tete, another spouting, another rant. Well, rant. I don't know if a rant. I try not to. Try not to. It's difficult, isn't it? Sometimes not to. Especially with the some of the things um, that I cover in my vlogs. The local politics or national or both or whatever. But yeah, it's a Saturday night late in November on the North Wales coast in sunny Rhyl, my beloved town. Unfortunately, not Saturday night at the movies. Who cares what picture you see? It's not been Saturday night at the movies for a long time. 9 months almost for me. I don't even know if I'm assuming the pictures. It's a bit of an old-fashioned thing to say. The cinema now, or some of my Scottish friends would call it the kinema. Probably haven't been open, have they? I suppose during most of this, but no, Saturday night yet again at home. At home, not much to do. Groundhog Day plus, oh, God knows. Same for most of us, I think, especially if you're self-isolating like me. So yeah, it's I must say, apart from outside news and outside information, it's been quite difficult to sort of do these regular. I'll keep up to date with my regular vlogs on the channel, just because there's not much really going on. Well, in comparison to what would happen normally. I'm certainly not out and about, and haven't been out and about like I'd usually be, because I'm trying to self-isolate and protect myself from the dreaded COVID number 19. But yeah, I think it's been a week and a bit, has it, since my last piece de camera, which I think was on the demise of our Queen's Market here on Real Promenade, if memory serves. And it has been a news-packed week, hasn't it, since my last one. I think we've had all of the initial optimism in the press, on the television news and the papers about the Oxford COVID AstraZeneca vaccine. The other vaccines, I mean, there's a number of vaccines, isn't there? I think it's about sort of 11 in total or more worldwide, and that are at various stages of being rolled out or going through final approval or testing. There's 2, 3, 4 in the US. I think there's 2 here, isn't there? 2 or 3 that are sort of getting there, they say, and lead us to believe. There's, I believe, 1 or 2 in Russia, which I think one of them's already being rolled out. Same in China. I saw a news article saying that China's is incredibly cheap as well, $20 or something, £20 per vaccine, which is, that sounds a lot, but I think in pharmaceutical sort of pricing terms is pretty good, as far as I understand from what I read. Yeah, I think it's going to be an expensive. The Oxford University / AstraZeneca one is going to be expensive. Probably more than £20 per shot, I would have thought. But anyway, that initial sort of excitement has been, and sort of it's again, we've got slightly mixed messaging again, didn't we? The Health Secretary Matt Hancock was out sort of saying, along with Boris Johnson, straight out, sort of, the end's in sight now, and it's the beginning of the end, hopefully, and all this sort of stuff. And then over the week, and then as I saw yesterday, it's gone from that down to actually, just calm things down a bit. Maybe we're sort of getting a bit too over optimistic there, because it's only just been submitted for approval, I think, from our drugs, vaccine sort of safety bodies, safety, legislators, not legislators, bodies, the people that test these things for safety, public safety and things, and give it a stamp of approval or not in the end. So anyway, let's hope. It was certainly, if anyone wants it sooner rather than later to be rolled out for everybody that needs it, it's me. I don't want to be stuck indoors for another 4, 5 months, 6 months. Certainly not. Thank you very much. And on that note, on a bit of news for me, finally, after about a month or just over of trying to get it sort of rubber stamped, I've finally been given leave to take a break from my PhD. I completed the first year, just started going into the second year, and it became sort of more and more obvious to me. Excuse me. More and more obvious to me that over the summer break, in the academic years, because I was stuck indoors since March, because my heart problem had come back over the summer, unfortunately. So fitness and health, also the impact of being self-isolation for so long on my sort of basic finances and everything, because of course well, if you've seen previous videos, you will have known that just as lockdown was called in March, I was about to sign up with a teaching assistant recruitment company, and try and sort of bolster my very, very basic sort of £70 a week income as a PhD student. With that, well, of course, that was sort of truncated as soon as the first lockdown was called, and of course I had to take my health first before trying to do that. But of course all the schools closed as well, didn't they? And so did all of the jobs went for teaching assistants. The places I was going to do them anyway. So anyway, that's not happened. So yeah, it became clear that for those various reasons, I wasn't. Things had changed so much since I started the PhD that I needed time to get back on track. Not least just for my health, I suppose. So I'm in the right. I mean, if you're not well physically, if you're not healthy physically, it has a knock-on effect with concentration and your sort of mental stamina. And of course, it's 90%, 110% concentration, intellectual and mental sort of perspiration. Trying to get it done, you have to be organised. You have to be, you have to know where you are with your research, know what you're doing, know where you're going. Planning, and the actual work itself. And there's no one to really, if you, I don't know if it's a PhD or not. With a PhD, there's no one to sort of teach you. There's no one to you have a supervisor, but there's no one to ask, because the whole point is you only get to do a PhD if you meet certain qualifying criteria, and one of them is that there's a point in you doing it, as far knowledge-wise, basically to add to the knowledge within a certain subject. So if someone's done or covered the ground in research at PhD level on the topic you want to cover, well, you're not going to be given permission to sort of do the PhD at whatever university. There has to be a gap, is what they call it, a gap in the available knowledge, which means, of course, there isn't anyone who's done what you're doing. You're the first person to do what you're doing, so there's no sort of specified, laid out well-trodden lessons or lesson plan or teaching. So it's guidance really from your supervisor and stuff, which is great. It's needed because your supervisor has been through it. They've got their PhD, they're a doctor themselves. So it's difficult in that sense. But anyway, so I've got finally, I think it was yesterday, actually. I finally got confirmation that after providing all the stuff that I needed to the university, that I've been given leave to have a what do they call it? A 1 year, a 12-month suspension of studies, basically, for a PhD. So that hopefully will give me a bit of time to sort of let, if they are right with about the COVID vaccine and all of that, hopefully that'll give me time for me to have it when it's available for the worst of the lockdown for me and the worst of the lockdown for my community and the town and everything, and things getting back to normal to sort of start happening, back to normal life, which would be lovely, which would immediately help. I mean, that for one would help me get my head back into a normal sort of space, I think, for this bit of normality, but also hopefully will give me time to sort of, rather than me, the NHS, bless it, give it time to sort of catch up and help me sort out a recurring sort of niggling heart problem. So I'm back to match fitness as it is, PhD fitness. You have to be fit enough. So that's happened, which is great. Of course, what it means is, for me, is that I've now got 12 months at least on universal credit. I applied, I think, the day before yesterday, so that's all sort of starting the application and everything, and going through all the process of that. I'm meeting all the sort of claimant commitment things and everything. I've just been doing it now on the computer, finalising up some of it. So at best I'm going to be on universal credit, or at worst I should say, sorry, I suppose. At best, hopefully I'm going to find some work. I've already been applying for things, and it's been positive so far. I've applied for a job at the moment, which is was a longish application, and has got knockout rounds, So I've got through the first two, and I think I'm now trying to find out if I'm through to the final or semi-final round. So anyway, let's see what happens there. See what else I can find, But I know I'm in the same boat as so many people now. Millions. I think I saw something like was it Rishi Sunak's spending review thing he did during the week, where they forecast the office. What was it? The Office for National Statistics forecast that I think it's by next year, 7.2% or something. It'd be 7.2% unemployment rate for the country, which is huge, absolutely huge. So I'm certainly not, in the minority in having to be on universal credit and having to look for work. Yeah, that's not good for too many people. I had to laugh. I don't know if you sort of picked up on this during the week. The beginning of the week, I think it was about lunchtime or mid-evening. I think it was on a Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember now. I suddenly sort of flashed up on my phone on the sort of news that a video of Boris Johnson. It looked like he's supposed to be self-isolating, isn't he? Because his phone told him to. I mean, even though he was supposed to have had COVID already, really baffling. No one seems to understand. No one seems to have understand sort of why he's done that. Really, it's all been very confused, odd, all of that really. But yeah, it was like a video from his sort of bunker in number 10, announcing these really sort of strange things in a sort of Kim Jong-un sort of fashion from his bunker. And the first thing was about the space rocket is going to launch from Scotland with the RAF Space Force. And I'm thinking, is this real? Is this real? I'm still not sure now if it was real. I thought it was I thought it was someone doing a parody, or like a an impressionist doing a joke. It was so bizarre. I'm thinking, what's this got to do with anything? We're still in we're still in a COVID pandemic. We've got I don't even think if England had come out of it. No, hadn't come out of its lockdown. And then we've got all this tier stuff going on as well now. And he's talking about space rockets from Scotland and all of this. And then again in a separate video, but again in the bunker, it's part of the same address, about I was about to spend you're going to spend £16.5 billion on 2 new aircraft carriers and defence and all of that. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what's this got? What? Because someone remind him. Again, we're still in the COVID pandemic and everything that's to do with that, including a sort of once in 100 years, or once in a generation, no more than that, once in a sort of a lifetime, sort of global, national, economic meltdown. Millions being thrown onto the universal credit they're doling, or those who can't get it even, losing their jobs, losing their house. And I'm thinking, and you're talking about aircraft. I mean, you and your families are going to be at the food bank soon, and you're probably going to lose your home if you've got a mortgage, if we can't continue the furlough scheme, or lose your job or whatever. But don't worry, you can console yourself with the thought that we'll have that we'll be launching RAF space rockets from Scotland, and we'll have 2 new aircraft carriers. I'm sure that'll make you feel better when your kids are saying, begging you for food. Absolutely bizarre. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting there thinking, am I the only one in the whole country who's watching this, thinking this is bizarre? Because that's the way you feel. Because when you watch it, I thought I've got to watch the news at 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock and BBC News and all these supposed, the people in the know, Sky News and all that, see what they're saying. They didn't bat a bloody eyelid. It was as if nothing to see here, nothing strange. There's nothing strange. Perfectly normal thing to do and say. And, okay, aside from what it's been, again, here we go again with this government at the moment. At the beginning of the week, we're announcing, out of the blue, nothing doing, we're going to spend £16.5 billion on aircraft carriers and space rockets and upgraded cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, military grade. But then at the end of the week, towards the end of the week, we've got Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, telling us that he can't, in all good conscience, justify, that's the word, isn't it? Justify continuing to pay public sector workers what he should be paying them. That he has to give them a pay freeze, which is really a pay cut when you take inflation into account, over the next year, 2 years, whatever. And then, of course, with the accelerated problems of the economic impact of COVID and the tiers and the lockdowns and everything. So in all good conscience, he couldn't spend money on that. But he has, and again, nothing from the media that I saw, no questions about, well, wherever you found this or where are you going to find this £16.5 billion that you were talking about at the beginning of the week for space rockets and aircraft carriers? None of it matches, none of it, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, does it? In the space of a week, we've seen that. But again, I'm thinking that. You may have been thinking that. You may be thinking it now if you didn't know about it before and I've just told you about it. these highly paid, apparently expert, super intellectual BBC News, Sky News, SW1, they all know each other, they all live in the same sort of London SW1 bubble, you know, they'll go to each other's sort of houses for dinner parties and all this sort of stuff. You know, the journalists, the MPs, the producers, all this sort of stuff, and these sort of these newsmen, the experts, we're told, say nothing about that. I've not seen or heard one of them, and I've been watching any newspaper, you know, any sort of Newsnight journalist, mainstream journalist on ITV, BBC, Sky News Channel, not one of them say during the week you're not going to pay public sector workers, what they should be paid, but you've announced at the beginning of the week you're spending £16.5 billion on rockets and aircraft carriers and military artificial intelligence. None of them. I haven't seen one say that. One ask a question about it. So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm mad. Am I mad? Is it me? Have I got something wrong with me? Have I gone, you know, am I imagining this stuff? Or what? So I don't know if you felt the same. If you feel the same. If you're like me, you're thinking, none of this that doesn't add up. You know, the economic stuff just doesn't add up, does it? Because at the same time, he told us in his speech to Parliament, which he said when he was on, that it was forecast. The ONS had forecast the worst economic downturn as far as GDP growth for 300 years. And again, I'm thinking, but you've just told us, you've forecast that you're going to find 16.5 billion quid in the upcoming, what, 3-4 years. Just bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. And I think this is why, even if people haven't sort of clocked this consciously, because, you know, you guys, you're living your lives and you're trying to do you're not sort of watching all the news, taking it all in, because you're trying to, you know, do the normal stuff of get kids to school and feed your kids and keep your jobs and, you know, keep a roof over your heads and all this sort of stuff. So I realise I'm sort of stuck in and I'm watching this stuff because I've got, you know, that's what I sort of have time to do at the minute. So maybe I'm hyper aware compared to most people. But even on a subconscious level, it must sort of sink in while people are trying to do these things, and you're trying to do these things, you know. And I think this is where this sort of stuff really highlights why people just do not trust just don't trust political parties anymore, or politicians, you know, or governments, whether it's a Tory government or Labour government. You know, they're all as bad about, you know, in this sense as each other. It's all just nonsensical, illogical, frankly insulting to our intelligence. All of it. You know. So that, I suppose, has been the biggest talking point of the week for me. But what's yours been? You know, maybe something. It's probably something completely different for you. Something to do with some you know, could be sport, could be entertainment, could be something happened at your kids' local school. You know, could be just trying to keep holding down a job, or maybe like me, you've had to sign on to Universal Credit recently, and you're worried about that, and that's all going on, and you're not quite sure what to think, what to do, how it's going to go, and there's that added stress, because it is stressful, the unknown. You know, you don't know, do you? You don't know what's going to happen. I remember distinctly when I was advisor at the CAB some years ago. You know, I came across quite a few clients that had been working most of their, if not all their adult lives, which is great, in good jobs, which is great because there aren't many well-paying jobs around here. But just through something like, a back injury all of a sudden, or a little bit of illness has sort of popped up, and they can't work anymore in that job. All of a sudden, they've no choice but to fall back on the safety net, which is what it's there for. But of course, the safety net that benefits us, I suppose people sort of know them as, don't pay for your mortgage. You can get housing benefit and stuff, but if you've got a mortgage that you're paying off while you're working, I had a number of people that I had to sort of break that to, and they obviously had a very hard time, and I can't blame them because I feel the same, accepting that the government aren't going to pay off their mortgage through the welfare system. So a lot of people are going to have some horrible shocks, I'm afraid, unfortunately. But again, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm a big part of why I'm a counsellor, because I'm trying to do what I can to help in any way I can, really, any small way I can, to try and help people who are struggling in that way to sort of get what they need, even if it's just a bit of advice, a bit of moral support, even if it's just that. You can never underestimate what an open ear, a sympathetic ear, what a help that can be sometimes. So yeah, anyway, that's what's going on with me at the moment. That's been my week. Nearly at half an hour mark already, so I've waffled on too long again. So I'll just say, rock on, Tommy. Ow. That's quite funny, my surname is Ball, isn't it? I suppose I'll be Jimmy Ball, not Bobby. I used to love Bobby Ball when I was a little lad. Remember the old, what was that film they did? Oh God, when they were policemen, do you remember? What was that called? Oh, it was basically, it was early 80s, wasn't it? I remember watching it as a kid. It was a rewriting of that old Will Hay film from the 30s, Ask a Policeman, basically, with Bobby and Tommy. Rock on, Tommy. You'd have to be a certain age if you're under if you're under 40. You're probably not gonna know what I'm talking about. In fact, I remember now. My teacher at my primary school used to call me Bobby, and I never got it. I get it now. So yeah, rock on, and remember what old Morecambe and Wise used to say: "Bring me sunshine in your smile, bring me laughter all the while." I'm singing like, I'm sorry. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness, so much